Melikilikimaka, Merry Christmas, vapors. You guys have heard about the Revvo Tank from Aspire, the brand new thing. Never gonna let you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna run around and desert you. The thing never does anything bad, apparently. So anyway, we're gonna take this thing apart. I'm gonna tell you 7 things that you don't know about this tank. So stick around and it's gonna be fun. 7 things you missed from the Aspire Revvo Tank. Never gonna tell a lie and hurt you on VapeAM. Good morning, everybody. I'm very excited about this tank. I want to say good morning to everybody out there who's watching this thing live. I'm going to get to the chat here in a few minutes and say hi. Today, I'm going to tell you a few things about this Aspire Revvo tank that you haven't heard before or that aren't quite that obvious. And I've got a blog post that goes along with this, and you can click on the URL and go to gcjoneshq.com. This channel is brought to you by myself and hard work. And so I want to take just a second to encourage all of you, if you want to click the like button, click the subscribe button if you feel like it and you like our content that I do here, tutorials, interviews, written stuff, in-depth looks at hardware and community, then consider making a donation. Click on the PayPal button, and if not, that's fine too, that's great. So let me change the camera around. I want you to see this thing. Boom. There it is right there. What I want to do is I want to open this thing, and I just want to show you a whole bunch of stuff about this in the anatomy. I've got coils over here to talk about. And the whole 9 yards. First, though, how are you? Good morning. I hope you have a cup of coffee and a vape. Right now, I am just vaping on this Pyramid by Smockjoy, which is pretty cool. It's kind of a weird little RDA that has a pyramidal shaped top, and you'll be seeing a lot more of that. And I hope that you're having a great Sunday. Tomorrow's Christmas Eve. We're going to actually have a Christmas Eve show. I'm going to have an impromptu show. We'll have a little group hangout. We'll all chat. We'll talk about maybe the best stuff of the year. And come and join us. It's not scheduled, but it'll be tomorrow. Tomorrow in the morning, if you have time. It'll be fun. On Christmas, I think we're going to the family's house. So let's talk about the Aspire Revvo Tank. The Aspire Revvo Tank, you know, you've seen this thing. It's spring-loaded. It has a top filling tube. It's got a huge top airflow, and it's got this horizontal disc that they call the arc coil, the Aspire radial coil. And it's kind of cool to see some innovation in atomizers these days, because it just feels like 2017 was a freaking bunch of just samey stuff. Here's a list of the content in the box here. Notice that the coil resistance changes occasionally. It's variable, just how it is. But I think it's cool that Aspire is the one that actually came out with something new this year. You know, in the last year, they worked really hard to actually in-house their engineering for their chips, which they've done for all their new mods, the last 4. And they've also expanded that distribution center in California by quite a bit. And so I just have a lot of respect for these guys. Any company like iJoy or Joytech that comes to the US and opens up a distribution center because they want to be able to warranty things and get you the products and improve them quicker, that's a good thing. I like that. Just for reference here, so you know, I am vaping on my Capo 100 with a Cleto 120, and I'm comparing the Cleto 120 to this thing for the purposes of my review, and that's going to be pretty important later, I'm pretty sure. Let me just open up this box now. I did have a window open that had chat in it, but it looks like I lost that. I feel kind of sad. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just keep opening. That's what I'll do. So the package is pretty simple. It's not like insanely complicated, but it's got this sort of trendy thing these days. They totally do that. Hey, Ex-Combi Girl. Hey, Stuart McClarty. Hey, everybody. Chili Dog, Michaela Vapes, Mohammed, Rob Lee, Jeff Coils, Rain, everyone, James Rivera, everybody, T.D. Wester, Todd. I appreciate all you guys watching. So, Owen Ginter. There's the box. Let me turn down the brightness just a little bit, maybe. A little bit blinding, because we got to read a few things, don't we? So, here's the Aspire user manual. It's got, which we'll take a close look at, it's got a warranty card and an important advisory card, 10 O-rings, which is good. We're going to keep these 2 separate because we're going to go over them. I got stuff to say about that. And there is the actual atomizer. It's pretty cool. This is stuff that you already know, that it comes with extra glass. It comes with an extra coil, which if you haven't seen them, here are the coils. This is actually one of the coils. And you'll notice that the cotton is a little bit janky in there. Number 2 on our list of actually number 1 on our list of things that you didn't know about the Aspire Revvo is that you can change this cotton. There's a little cotton pad that goes between the cotton and the chip coil here. This has been using this about a day. But you can pull this cotton out and you can replace it. It takes about 10 minutes and a dental tool. But let me tell you something. It's not worth it. You know why? Because this box costs $5 retail. So $5 in the store, you get 3 coils. So they only cost about $1.75 a piece. It's really inexpensive. But it can be done. It comes with this nifty cap, which I absolutely love. I'll show you this. This is great for construction people. And they say, of course, it can't be for leaking because this never leaks, right? But maybe it does. But this is really good for construction or in your pocket, let me tell you. I've had my mod in my pocket a million times, and lint gets in there and gets in your mods or in your atomizer, and that's just nice, right? Like this thing, and it's not BS either. Like it's got an actual plug that like stops it, and it takes work to get off. This is cool. This is a good idea. I know it sounds like a small thing, but I love it. So you can change the cotton. Number 2 on our list of things that you didn't know is that this thing actually has an 810 compatible drip tip. There's the atomizer. I want to remind everybody that if you get an atomizer that's wet, make sure that you return it because that's not right. This one's wet because I took it out of my ultrasonic cleaner. So please forgive that. Always remember that. It's actually 810 compatible up there. So this is the actual top. You can get an 810 in there, although it can be very difficult. But once you do, it's not bad. And it can just give you a little more distance. Sometimes you need that. They can be real tough to get out. But they work. And I don't think even Harry was aware of that when I showed him. I just stuffed one of my 810s into one of them. I gave him mine, actually. My orange one was just like this. Got these from Fastex. That is the top fill mechanism that you've heard so much about. The way that works is you take, say, a dropper bottle. Let me just get a dropper bottle, which I thought I had open. Here's some DIY. You take a dropper bottle and you simply press down on that thing. It presses down and then it squeezes through here. We're going to do that in a second. I want to take this apart first. So on the top here, let's go through the basic anatomy of this thing. It's got a top 810 size thing, and this cap is a pretty engineered cap. I'm going to say the word engineered a lot during this little unboxing because there's a lot going on in here. This is top airflow that goes around a cylinder and comes in. We're going to unscrew it. Here's the big deck reveal for you. And when you pull this off, you'll see that that is all just hollow. And there's actually a cam. There's a spitback prevention unit that provides some spitback prevention. And the top fill system, and watch as I press it down. You see how it's on a spring? And that being on a spring, it makes liquid come out of the bottom. You can just see the bottom and the holes line up when it comes down. So that's cool. If you have an airtight seal here, it provides a two-way pump for almost any kind of dropper. Some droppers do not work with this. And I'll show you, droppers like this do not work with this. And because they cannot make a complete seal. So we all hate those kinds of droppers anyway, right? So it's all right. So here we are. If you unscrew this cam, all this does is hold this down and provide some spitback protection. This is the chip coil. It pops right out. It can be a little squirrely to get out when it's wet, but you just pop that right out and throw it away. That's a new one. We'll probably use this one. Why not? I've got one sitting over there I don't want to use. I wonder if my camera will focus or if it'll embarrass me like always. Please. More like embarrassing. But that's pretty cool, huh? It's got a stainless steel chip coil in there with a lot of surface area, heats up very fast, has a lot of surface area. And you'll notice it's not as detailed as you think, but it's much better than a cylindrical one. It creates a huge amount of vapor um, inside there. The number 3 thing on my things that you didn't know about this thing is that you don't actually have to hold it upside down. You'll notice in the instructions, one of the things they tell us here first is important notice. Don't press the button with the top cap in place to avoid potential spilling and hot e-liquid hitting your skin, or without the top cap in place. So it'll just bubble and pop off this. Don't press the fire button when not vaping, because it can cause a lot of unvaporized e-liquid to condense back on there. When filling, make sure the tip has a vacuum seal up here. And after the first filling and when replacing the coil, make sure to invert the tank for 2 minutes to help saturate the coil with e-liquid. That's false. And I'm going to explain to you guys exactly why that's false in just 1 second. You actually, the instructions say you have to hold it upside down for 2 minutes, but as we keep going, I think I'll show you that it's you don't have to do it that much. You have to do it at the very, very end. And the reason is because they put a steel frame inside of here, and the action doesn't work perfectly because there's a frame preventing it in that. It's a worthwhile sacrifice, though. The 4th thing on our list of stuff you probably didn't know about this is that it's an RDTA, but it's not. Did you notice that this thing kind of like looks familiar? I mean, technically, it's a clearomizer, right? It's an atomizer, and it uses replaceable factory coils, just like our Cleto 120 does. The Cleto 120 is this device right here. It uses very large, this is a replaceable coil. These are about $5 a piece. These are about $1.70 a piece, $1.75. Are they the same? We're going to find out in testing, but Aspire has a very long history of making good vertical coils like this, including the famous BBC coil from the Nautilus 2. So it's got a design based on last year's favorite design, the RDTA. And I've got a few examples of different tanks sitting here, just so you guys know kind of what the differences are. RDAs are devices like this pyramid. This pyramid has a deck, the coils are on it, you put the e-liquid in it, or you squonk up from the bottom, and it's a rebuildable deck atomizer. It atomizes, it's rebuildable on a deck. That's how that works. There's RTAs, which are rebuildable tank atomizers, and those are things like the Petrie and the crazy Steam Crave Titan, which is amazing. And this is a vape nut stand, by the way, guys. If you need good stands for your atomizers, go vape nut. This is the Steam Crave Titan, and I'm bringing this out because it's a very good example. It's large. I can show you. This is an RTA. RTAs have rebuildable decks inside and contain tanks that surround them. And the juice flow goes by gravity and some other factors. They have their own characteristics, but that's how those are. RTAs come in a lot of different varieties, and like I just showed you, I have a lot of these on my desk. I've got the Petrie, the Steam Crave Titan. I've got this new one right here from Smockjoy that's all mirrored and stuff. That's cool. And my Typhoon GT2. But last year, the number 1 thing was RDTAs. And RDTAs are a little bit different from RTAs or RDAs. It's basically like an RDA, but they've separated the deck with holes in it, and they use glass sides and certain principles of physics to make the deck be up here where you're vaping and then be able to refill it from the bottom. Special physics principles. The characteristics of this design are the tank is on the bottom and it's separated from the deck on the top. Like it's not all one thing, just soaking. It's an extremely wet vape inside here. They can be very turbulent. And these are based on the old Genesis designs, which had a similar juice flow system, but had a real specific deck. This isn't the same thing, but it is based on that. And the new thing here, and I'll explain those unique physics principles in a second, but the new thing here is that this is an RDTA with a clearomizer coil, and this has never been done before, quite simply. I'm not even sure that that Aspire really understands that they've done that too. But I'll fully take this apart for you, and then I'll tell you about the 5th thing that you may have forgotten. Number 4 was that it's basically an RDTA design. This is extremely clever too. Do you see how that's got a concentric ring there? The way this works is that at any time, even when it's fully built or whatever, you can take this little ring off and access the glass at the end of these. So you can pull the glass off either up or down, just either way. That is just, when there's one O-ring right there, that is just an extremely clever piece of engineering, I think. Super clever. Because what this reveals is the heart of the Revvo. This is the heart of the Revvo. There's the fill system, and you can see the concentric piston action that lines the holes up. You make a vacuum with your dropper bottle up here, and I'll just do this and make a mess just for fun. Press down on this and squeeze, and look, it comes out. Oh, I have to clean it up. So, of course, there'll be glass in there again, but isn't that rad? This right here is the heart of the Revvo, and this piece of engineering right here with the top fill system, and they've put this little frame in here for rigidity. I suggest already that they try to lose this frame and move it to the middle, because the action of the wicking of the adhesion that makes this work, and then the capillary action, this actually impedes that. So if y'all can find a way to move these reinforcements to the middle, trust me, that's gonna work better. So let's put this back together and vape on it, fill it up, and then I'm going to tell you something about the way this thing vapes that is number 5. And we're going to get to the principles that make the overall device work. But the other thing that you didn't know about the Revvo is that is condensation. They've used condensation in the cleverest way on this atomizer. And you see how you just press that in there and then screw the cam down on top. If you want, you can put e-liquid in there and then put this on and do this and drip it, but I'm going to use the filler. They use condensation. Remember when I told you that that this is based on an RDT? You see how I'm putting a little bit of e-liquid on top here? I'm just doing this because it's going to go up there anyway, and I'm barely putting a few drops. I just want it to just suggest to the top that it's ready. I'm not going to put the top on yet, but I am going to fill it up just to show you guys. Just so you can see more. You press that in, and then push it, and it comes in. And I have a little bit of a concern that it's kind of slow, but maybe it's only because of the angle it's at. Maybe I can do slightly better. Perhaps I will actually screw the cap on. We didn't look at the cap too closely, which actually we should right this very second. Because the cap is a serious piece of engineering too. You see that I believe that this ring is a dome that touches the top of the coil here. I tried to align these things. And when you screw this down, what you get is a top airflow system that tries to bring the air in from the sides and then go in from the top of the coil. And it's pretty clever. It works pretty well. I have found some leaking issues with when I fill it, often some liquid will come out of the airflow soon after I fill it. And we're going to do that here. And it's one of my questions for the review that we're going to do. But because this is a tight seal and these are really wet vapes, remember I told you, it's actually clever that they use its own condensation in here, coming back down on here to keep the coil wet. And if you vape pretty constantly, then it certainly doesn't get rancid. It barely uses any cotton whatsoever, so it's cool. It does accumulate in the tank a little bit. So condensation is the other thing. One of the bedrock characteristics of the RDTA design is that crazy amount of condensation there. So that arc flat stovetop uses the wetness to its own advantage, and I just think that's cool. So the other thing I want to talk to you guys about, and this is the thing, this is going to get kind of technical, but I want you to bear with me here. I'm screwing this down as far as I can. The sixth thing that you probably have not thought of, in fact, I'm certain you haven't, with the Revvo, is adhesion. And adhesion is something that I want to tell you guys about. Frequent viewers to the channel know that we talk about this all the time. We talk about the physics forces that make atomizers work. And this one works on the RDTA design, but has a stovetop coil. And so I'm going to tell you exactly the physics principle that makes this work, and all RDTAs actually. And it probably isn't what you want or what you suspect it is. There's a lot of chemistry and physics and electrochemical processes and principles at work in vaping. and they include air pressure, conduction, and metallurgy, and gravity, and velocity, and capillary action, and condensation, and obviously evaporation, and I mean a lot more, right? But the best one to me is adhesion. I'm so sorry the camera is moving a little bit. It's quite frustrating. It should not be. I'm trying to give you guys a view of me filling this. And maybe I'll turn the light a little bit. Maybe that helps. You guys can tell me in the audience how we're doing. I'm pressing down and I'm squeezing in. I just keep hitting it with my thumb, sorry. So adhesion is like the least understood principle of vaping. And it's the reason why the Revvo works so well. And I'm not going to fill this up all the way. I'm just going to fill it up part way to illustrate this to you. So, ooh, that smells good. This is my own cranberry holiday vape, and it smells so delicious. Adhesion, capillary action, and like some of the other nifty properties of water are not magic, and they're not really mysterious, but the way they work is electrochemical, so it requires a little bit of explanation. Adhesion is when something sticks to something else, and cohesion is when something sticks to itself. And we're going to come back to those one at a time. The concept is critical to how these things work, and it's like the biggest difference between the way RDTAs and RTAs and RDAs work, because adhesion is not a major factor in these because of the materials used, and I'll explain why. And it is a pretty major factor in the way these are designed, and people have made some gigantic mistakes in the way they've designed these by raising up the deck and making the so-called GTA design, which defeats the purpose of the air pressure and gravity that make this work. But this one needs something else. This one needs adhesion. And the reason it needs adhesion is because adhesion is what makes water stick to the glass. And I'll explain exactly how this works. A lot of things affect this, but what we care about right now is materials. E-liquid is made of water, and water is made up of 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom. And water has a polarity, meaning that each molecule is partially positive and partially negative at either end of the hydrogens. So what happens is that water has some special properties, and one of them is that water molecules like to reach out from their like partially positive and partially negative ends and grab on to other water molecules doing the same. So water balls up. Have you ever noticed how water likes to retain its shape and stay together? It does it on the ground. It does it on a variety of surfaces. And there's a couple of physics principles involved there too, a couple of engineering principles, but it's too much detail. So here, what happens is that it wants to stay together. That's called cohesion. Cohesion, we just said, is when something likes to stick to itself. So water likes to be cohesive. The water loves itself and wants to stay there. But water likes to do different stuff when it touches different materials. Like sometimes it forms little droplets, or sometimes it slides across, and sometimes it defies gravity and crawls up the upside of glass. And we've all seen this. Why is that? Notice that in any glass container, the sides of the e-liquid are higher on the sides than they are in the middle, and the e-liquid is actually sticking to the sides and climbing up there for some reason. Well, that line is called the meniscus, and the reason that the e-liquid climbs up that glass is that the molecules in the glass also have a polarity, and glass is typically made up of a lattice of silicon and oxygen, and it's 2 oxygen atoms for every 1 silicon atom. That sound familiar? Kind of like water? So those oxygen atoms are like partially negatively charged, and the silicon atoms are partially positively charged, kind of like the water ones are. And when the water touches the glass, something happens. It turns out that because of these differences in electronegativity, the water in the e-liquid is much more attracted to the glass that's containing it than it is to itself, and the water molecules stick to the glass. And that's why, and this force is called adhesion, the water sticking to the glass. And it's why RDTAs work. Exactly. If you combine adhesion with some basic kinetic force, like tilting it just a little bit and moving the tank while you vape, what you see is that now most of the time you don't have to turn this tank all the way over. Now you know that once you've tilted it this far and that liquid is climbing up the glass, it's going to touch the cotton, and capillary action is going to take over here in the cotton. And capillary action, which is, I can explain capillary action to you as well. Capillary action is adhesion on steroids. There are little air channels between the cotton fibers, and those little air channels, the cotton itself, the liquid likes to run up the cotton between those little air channels, and that's how it works. It's quite simple. So you need very little cotton, and capillary action takes off up there. And then, by simple transfer, it's transferred onto the coil here as you vape. So it's quite simple. Isn't that interesting, y'all? So that's adhesion force. That's when stuff likes to stick to other stuff. That's why RDTAs work. Nobody really seems to understand this process, and I see many, 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 many tanks that make big, big mistakes with the way they're designed. So this is an example, though, of how they did a very, very good idea. Cotton is your enemy with RDTAs because cotton is a thing that puts the brakes on juice flow. But the Aspire engineers have done a really good job with this. It's clear that they understand that adhesion is part of the job, and I have one more piece of advice for them. With this frame, this steel frame or aluminum frame that's in there, that has to go to the middle or has to be gotten away with. The inside of the glass needs to be smooth. Trust me on this. I'm going to tell you guys that again via email because I love you. And the number 7 thing about this tank that I just want to get across that you probably didn't think of yet is that the engineering really is clever. It really is killer. After that whole like line of details about this stuff and the chemistry and physics of vaping, it's like just step back and marvel at what Aspire did. Like it or not, I mean, it's got its shortcomings, you believe me, and we're about to make a list of them and then do a review and figure it out. But the engineers over there have shown quite clearly that there's some stuff they understand that other manufacturers just don't. So what's next? Well, first, it's time to review the crap out of this thing. For those of you who just joined me, I'm Eli Juicy Jones. This has been the unboxing and the 7 things you missed about the Aspire Revvo that you didn't guess. I'm going to review the crap out of this. We're going to beat the junk out of it. I'm going to burn it at 150 watts for a week. I'm going to turn it upside down. I'm going to make it leak. I've already made it leak a couple of times. And after that, we're all going to talk about it, and we're going to tell Aspire. And then after that, we'll see what happens. I don't know. But I want to appreciate every single person who tuned in to see this. We're going to stick around and talk to SubohmSapper. I hope you enjoyed all the information about how the atomizers actually work today. And even though I haven't even begun to write all the articles I want to about the physics of actually how these things work, this is the opener. And I've got a blog entry. Go to juicyjoneshq.com and join the Vape fam. Remember, we're getting old. We want to get old and not die. So quit smoking. Start vaping. Thanks so much. I love all you guys. Hey, let me bring SubohmSapper on here. I need to unmute him. I just wanted to do a little thing I could chop out later because I love you guys. He's right here. Unmute. You should be able to hear him. You'll be able to see him in 1 second. Boom, there he is. What's up, my man? How are you?
How's it going?
I'm very well. You guys in the audience, tell me what you thought of that. Tell me what you think. Say hi to Rob, who's on my right, which normally he'd be on my left. How are you doing, my friend?
Everybody.
What did you think of my little diatribe?
I enjoyed it. Very thorough. Followed along with the notes. So very pleased. I don't really think you missed anything at all, to be honest.
No, not yet. And that's not true, actually. I didn't go through details of specs and all that junk, which is okay. I mean, I got to do a review, right? I'll tell you right now, though, this thing vapes like a fucking monster. You've got one. That's why I brought SubohmSapper on, my friends. He owns it, too. Start talking, buddy. What do you think? Oh, I'm so sorry. Thank you, Vaporl Vape. I love you. Vape Foster Vape just made a donation, $2. I really appreciate it. That is a big deal. Thank you. Please go on.
You know, I was pretty pleased. Overall, I'm pretty pleased with, you know, you and I both tried this out at the West Coast Vape Expo a couple weeks ago, hanging out with the guys from Aspire.
Didn't get nearly enough time with it.
And I was impressed. You know, it's the first Aspire product that, aside from the Cleto 120, which I love, still use today,
staple,
that didn't leave me just kind of meh after the fact.
Yeah, that's right. You were talking about how they've had a bunch of tanks that were a little bit missy, and you probably didn't care about the Nautilus too.
No, I mean I used it when I first started vaping. I was going between that and Hanger's version of it.
Right.
I can't remember what the nomenclature was on the
Me
Kanger
either.
product.
Sub tank, sub tank
Yeah, the
plus,
sub
whatever.
tank. Yeah, the sub tank mini. And yeah, I just wasn't impressed with that. I mean, for what it was good. It wasn't great. There was no wow factor like there is with this. Couple of things that I've kind of noticed. One, we were talking about, you and I were talking about offline, was being preoccupied and trying to fill this thing up with juice, and then getting like a mouthful of molten hot e-liquid.
Yeah.
And
Or it
that happened to me.
coming out here.
Mine wasn't. Mine actually, I didn't. I don't think I made that perfect vacuum between the seal and the
Yeah.
fill hole. And I took a vape, and it was just 5.0 Latisha, the cinnamon Danish, and
That's my favorite 5.0.
Yeah, it's really good.
Lieutenant Latisha. Yeah, I did a review of all 5 of those, or all 4 of those, and Lieutenant Latisha is my favorite. I love all those bottles are rad.
By far, it's a good creamy vape. But
someone make a note that we shouted out to 5.0 today. They've got a new line too, which I'm just going to be shameless here, but they're nice guys. They have a new line, this Fire with apple caramel and some other one. They're good. They're fucking good.
Yeah, they're really good.
I had them
the
too.
Taffy, which I'm not a big candy flavored vape guy at all, but that tap that was, I think, a strawberry kiwi.
Yeah.
Taffy, that one was on point.
Yeah. So this thing, you got a good seal, but did you get a mouthful of junk?
I did, and when I took the top cap off, I was looking, and there was just a pool of e-liquid on top of that stovetop coil, on top of the arc coil. And but I wiped it off, so I've just started where I just kind of don't fill it all the way up to the top of the glass. I can still see a little bit of space between the e-liquid and the coil, and I haven't had a problem with it.
That's the trick. That's the trick I'm going to tell everybody. Don't fill it all the way up. Because what happens is, even though it's got a system for sucking it back out, even though it's got that, you can't fill it up all the way, because if you do, you get the overflow and you don't realize it, and you also have other stuff that's come off your drip tip or your bottle. It happens, right? Everybody, you pull your bottle out and it's got shit on it, and that'll go in there, and that just comes right out the airflow. All that stuff. One thing I've noticed, though, have you noticed that the leaking that does happen just stops? Like it's over, it's all out. Once it's out of the airflow, it's out. It doesn't leak like other atomizers, like just leak. It just gets this shit out that's extra, and then it's okay. It's weird.
Yeah, like I don't know if you've used the Sherman RTA at all.
No, not the Sherman one.
Yeah, it's got that same problem around the airflow. There's a constant just buildup of liquid around it, and there's no way to take that AFC ring off.
I like how this one is, though, because I think it's pretty clever, because my 4th point or whatever was condensation, how this thing never goes dry. Can you get this thing to go dry? It's fucking impossible until it's all the way at the bottom, because it's always got condensation back on it, and you vape, and I vaped it dry last night, and I looked down, and it got clouded inside because it was dry, and I was like, there, I finally got a dry hit on this thing by just...
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think I've cranked mine up to I think I've got it up to 110 watts right now.
And this is 140.
And I haven't had a dry hit yet. I mean, it's just...
You can't.
Solid vapor production. I am so
how do you do it?
What Aspire did with this.
It's for me, I have to say that so far, first impressions are first whole tank out of a coil is bland as hell. Like, just very bland. And to me, this thing's airflow is like something to really think about. Like, it is a lot more massive than I was expecting, and it is a lot of juice. This thing goes through Smock TFV8 amounts of juice, for sure.
Yeah, I agree, 100%. I keep my airflow closed off. It's about 2/3 of the way shut.
That's right. I was going to say, I had to go to halfway and lower the watts because I was getting Nick sick.
Yeah.
And
it was so much. It was just, it's almost obnoxious levels of vapor that you get if you have that airflow wide open.
And I put 0 in this, and it was fucking unreal. I was like, just insane.
Exactly. It's a fog machine.
For this video, I got out my favorite. This is my secret favorite that no one has anymore. This is Falooda by Van Gogh Vapes. And Falooda, they don't make anymore. This is a rose cardamom milkshake, and it's so freaking delicious. And I have the last bottle of this or something, but it's in one of the new style 100 milliliter bottles with a real nipple. So I'm going to use this in here pretty soon. It is so delicious. I love this stuff. Little special thing for me. But yeah, so that's
I
zero.
got to get some more tiramisu because I want to try that Italian tiramisu in this tank.
And look at the other thing I was using in it. My 1.5 cannoli, the original recipe. This is the old recipe. I've still got like 60 mils of this left. Even they were surprised. They were like, "What?
Lock it up in the safe."
Yeah, they were like, "What? You have that?" And then I gave him the Titan, and in the Titan I filled it with 28 mils of this, which was a sacrifice, sir. And I took it with me and I had them vape it, and they were like, "Oh, that's the cannoli," and they're like, "That must be the new one." I'm like, "No, it's not." "Yes, it is." "No, it's not." "Yes, it is." "Yes, it is." "Really?" And they had this look in their face like, and I was like, "Oh, that's
those
so
guys
cool."
are a hoot.
They are the greatest, really. They were fucking fun and nice people. So this thing has got more vapor. Look at you. I mean, this thing has got more vapor.
And that's I'm actually at 95 watts, and it's just steady, straight, warm, delicious vapor.
Yep. Let me just tell everybody. Here's what Aspire recommends. Aspire recommends 80 to 85 watts on this coil. That's what they tell you. They tell you don't go over 100. I just read that on the manual. I went to the website and saw. But you are not limited to that. Trust me, this thing vapes at 140 watts, and I'm going to test how long it'll do that, but it hasn't shown much sign. Did you look at any of your coils?
Yeah, I took I actually took the one that I've got now. It's dingy looking, like yours, like the one you showed on the program earlier.
I switched to the camera, yeah.
Yeah.
So you see how the little particulates get in between the pieces of the chip coil. It does turn brown, but it's not like burnt out.
No, it's not like you get in an RTA with a hand built coil, or an RDA with a hand built coil.
And it's got this
at all
minuscule amount of cotton in here. It's so impressive. It just does not need much. And what I love about this thing is that it verifies everything that I've been saying for years about atomizers. This design completely validates all of my theories because it is exactly correct. And it's really weird to me that I literally had this in my mind, literally the same thing, because we've been talking about it for a year, and seriously for the last 4 months on Discord. So when this came out, I flipped out. I ran right to their desk and was like, "What the hell? Like, you've been in my dreams, man. This works. This is gonna work." And I know that they think I'm crazy. And I hope they watch this video because I'm doing this for y'all. I'm going to demonstrate to y'all that I fully understand how these things work. And I really am not convinced that a lot of other vapors and, YouTubers or whatever actually physically understand what the molecules are doing. Can I define a machine for everybody? This is really fun. A machine is a system of different mechanisms that when you apply energy to it, it moves something. That's the definition of a machine. So atomizers are machines. It's really important to remember that atomizers are machines, and everything that goes on in an atomizer is part of some system that is being controlled by physical, chemical, electromagnetic, electrochemical properties and things that are well understood. And so when you're seeing billions and billions of new RDAs and they say they're new or whatever, they're not. I've looked at these things so many times, and I look at them all the time and I say, look, it's another thing like this, that's going to work. Look at that, that's not going to work. Look at that, that's going to work. Look at that, that's not going to work. And it's because I understand how hydrogen and silicon and steel and some other alloys like to talk to each other. It's like, that's all it is. We work with water and we evaporate water. That's what we do. And we move these things. We move water from the tank, wherever it is, or the reservoir, into a coil to evaporate, right? That's the machine we've created. That's what these do. We have power. There's also power, but we apply with this atomizer like this kinetic power. This is applying power to the water to get it to interact with the glass. It's sticking to the glass. You're doing something here. You had to eat a banana to do this. And so that's the approach I take. I love that. The other thing is that this is a machine, and you have to understand tolerances. It is so important to understand that vaporizing water is one of the easiest things you can do, right? It's like really easy. All you got to do is apply a little energy to it, and it likes to change state into a gas. That's all we're doing here. So that's also very well understood. And if you see that there are tolerances here that you can easily violate, you know, a tolerance is a limit that's set that if you exceed it, that it makes something fail. And with these devices, the tolerances are really high. You can make RDAs and wick them crappy, and they're pretty good, right? Got a basic dome, basic 810, pretty okay. So lecture over. Those are my last two scientific principles, little bonus principles for understanding these things. But, you know, it's sort of like if you get your head in the science and you start looking at these things going like, oh, that's for fun. That one's for fun. You know, that one's just for looks. That one, they're mostly just for looks and for fun. They're not really that functionally different. 2017 was bad.
It was, yeah, it was bad. I'd say the latter half of 2016 probably through this year.
Yeah.
There was no innovation. It was just the same coils. I mean, yeah, they brought out the TFV8 and they brought out the TFV12, and you know that's great for cloud production, but they're missing the basic principle with those coils. It's the same thing that I brought up about the weight sub-ohm take. There's so much cotton packed in there,
yeah,
that you cannot get a good capillary reaction.
I'll tell those guys, I'll just switch cameras while you're talking and show them. He's talking about a coil similar to this, where it's actually smaller. It's like a circle like that. And the distance between the outside of the stainless steel rim and the edge of the cotton is like 4 or 5 millimeters. It is a huge gap. You see?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's
I showed
flush
a picture
here.
of it. And granted, yeah, the liquid's going to touch the cotton, but what you've got is you've got this coil head that's 8 millimeters across, but you've got 8 millimeters worth of cotton packed into a 4 millimeter space.
Right. Yeah.
And so it's so compacted. It doesn't wick effect.
Yeah, that's
you
no
wind
good.
up with dry hits after dry hit. I've even gone through a lot of them where with this one, I've had to actually use it like a dripper to get the cotton.
Oh,
wet.
that's a fail.
And just to keep from getting a dry hit, and you get 2 or 3 pulls off of it, and bam, you get a burnt hit back in the back of the throat.
Does it come to the bottom to the airflow, or is it okay?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh God, what a pain! Get an RDA, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know if I'm going to keep using that one. I'll probably just stick to their RTAs, and because those are great. And minus airflow's a little wonky. The airflow control ring likes to come off because the steels aren't quite big enough.
Right.
But
so just getting back to the Revvo for a second, I just want to make sure that we've got a list of the questions that we've got to, you know, some of the stuff that we know is wrong. Like, for example, the leaking. It does leak, but it's specific to different filling style. You know what I'm saying? Like leaking. So I got to figure that out, because I think it can never leak. Right?
It could
never leak if you do it right. Maybe we'll find that out. That's
depending
important.
on the conditions.
But our hypothesis, who knows? We'll find out. We'll try a bunch of stuff. I think I figured out how I make it messy or not, but I'll know. And I walked to the movie theater with it in my hand, down here, swinging my arm. It came up and it was all over the outside. It had come out the top and the thing. So that's relatively natural. But they told me that never happens. So when I was with them, remember, he said, set it upside down for overnight. It didn't leak. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I might have to call bullshit on that.
We'll see. Exactly. The other thing, is, what is it slow to fill?
Yeah, I mean, I even took my, go back to my 5.0 with its dip and cut it back a little bit, and just to make that the hole a little bit bigger, and it's still really slow to fill. It was a little bit faster, but it fills a lot slower than what I think it should.
I think that the vertical tip is, this is just like a first impression kind of thing. I'm just writing down kind of what you're saying, but I think that the vertical tip inside there for filling is a little bit too far recessed. Because don't you feel like when you press them down, all your unicorn bottles are almost flush with the tank? With the top?
Exactly. I agree 100%.
And it interferes with my psychological, it's sort of like, makes me go like, am I going? And I squeeze the bottle, and sometimes I'm just squeezing into the tank. And it's like, oh, or onto the coil. So there's a little bit of like, I think that could just come up 2 millimeters,
If
right?
that, yeah.
I mean,
I think that would be a good adjustment.
yeah, 2 or I mean, just nothing, right? Just a little tiny. That's one thing I thought of too. Last night, but I mean, oh, and one of the things that and this might just be me, you know, like something about this like gives me a lot of nicotine. I mean, is it just that it's going through a lot of e-liquid? Is it because we have a lot of surface area and it's just creating a lot of vapor quickly? And that's because I get a big dose out of this, like a dose.
I haven't really noticed, but I mean, I chain vape 3 mils like all day long. So,
yeah, and I'm a little sensitive to it, so I probably shouldn't be doing it. Because to me, this is like vaping a TFE 12. I mean, to me,
yeah,
it's like
I can agree with that.
like an enormous amount, like vaping on the Titan at full bore on these things.
Yeah,
at 180 watts or whatever with these things from Daniel. These are Spaniel coils, by the way. You guys saw these earlier in the video. Go down and close the air off. Do you find that?
yes, yeah. I mean, on my, I've got the Supremes or the Pluses. Pluses are the one right below that. I've got 2 of them, and I keep them on the almost about halfway on the smallest slot to get. That's where I vape them. I can't vape them wide open like that.
Yeah. I'll just show everybody where I've got mine. Yeah, look, I've got mine. That's got to be 30% max. Yeah, maybe 25% there. Yeah, 30%. And I'm at 86 watts. You know, I didn't care where I landed there. That's a good vape. Not gonna lie, it's a good vape the way it is. Oh, and I want to talk about price. I forgot. These are cheap, and one of the goals was to lower the price. The fucking replacement coils for your Cleto are 5 bones each. These things, $5 each, and they're great. I'm always going to buy these because I still think that the flavor on them, so far, one day, don't judge, I'm not judging. One day though, still prefer the Cleto flavor, but I'm going to do some serious A/B tests. But my God, $5 a pop. These are $1.75 retail in Seattle. Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean that's a deal because I will tell you, I bought a 3-pack, and the shop here was charging $5 a coil for those.
$5 a coil or a pack?
A coil.
Oh, that's wrong. Our shop was charging $5 a pack.
Yeah, I won't be going back there to get any more replacement.
You need to send the time code to this video we're talking about and email that to him. Show it to him right there. Like, look, we're complaining about the price. Yeah, everywhere else, these are $5 for the box. And you know as well as I do, distro price on this box of coils right here is $3.50. I want everyone to know that. This box costs $3.50. So don't let somebody charge you $20 for this fucking box.
Well, it won't happen again.
Or $15 in your case.
Right.
But
15 might as well be 20.
The whole point behind one of the whole points behind doing this with Aspire was to lower that price of these things and to get something that costs less to make, which these do. Less cotton, less steel, less rubber, less everything. I mean, those Cleto coils are like a significant piece of engineering. And to get something in your hands, it costs less money. And let's talk about the price of the freaking atomizer, dude. They're so good. $35. You're going to pay $35. If you pay $50, it would be a lot for this. A lot.
Yeah, I think I paid 35, 37.
35 was my price.
Yeah.
That's what I paid.
I mean, it's very economical, especially for the product you're getting.
Yeah.
I mean, you're getting a top-notch tank.
I mean, to me, Aspire has hit it out of the park, and they don't always do that. I think that there needs to be some modifications and stuff. Like, we have some questions and everything doesn't work exactly. But I mean, people who want to chuck clouds are going to flip over this. Flip. People who are stuck on their TFE 12s, you look at the size of this thing, they're going to be filling it up all day. The big complaint's going to be it's got a small tank. And you watch let's make predictions. Let's make predictions because I'm good at this. 1, you're going to see a fucking postless RDTA soon. Probably 3 of them. Right?
Okay.
Don't you think? This is an RDTA, especially after people have seen my video. Once people have seen my video, I just explained to them how to make a postless RDTA. So smart person will make a postless RDTA quickly. There isn't one. And I predict that this will get copied 1,000 times. There'll be a coil art one that's the big cloud version, which holy fuck. There'll be, I mean, we're going to see 80 of these.
Yeah, and you know, I think this should be the new industry standard. I mean, I think Aspire has really set the bar
Lower that
high.
price.
Yeah,
Less
lower the
metal,
price,
less
improve the
everything.
improve the product, improve the design, and this is what you need to do. And
And
so hopefully we can get away from just turning out crap like it's coming out the last 8 months.
Aspire is the only person who have an engineer in their fucking shop.
Yep.
Everybody else has somebody who just save as on some other thing. And I don't want to, all this stuff about people designing, all the stars designing RDAs and shit. Man, you're not this. This is so far beyond what anybody else has done from a pure engineering standpoint. You and I last night, I want to tell everyone about this conversation we had. We were talking about just this frame. Just this frame. Remember how I said this is the heart of the atomizer?
Yeah.
That little frame is so genius. It's got so much engineering in it with the little concentric posts with the holes lining up. It's just simple and quick. It's got the cap engineering. I mean, it is like, this is a freaking exciting piece of technology. I just like things that look like someone tried to be clever and understand stuff. That's what I'm attracted to.
And there's solid engineering principles behind it. It's more than someone just taking a pen or a pencil to a piece of graph paper
Yeah.
and drawing something. Almost any moron can do that.
Oh, put some Ultim on it. That'll
Yeah.
make people think I know what I'm doing.
Yeah. Ooh,
Like, what the
Ultim.
fuck? There's no Ultim in this. It does get a
No.
little hot on the top. Have you noticed that?
It does get hot, but it's not unbearable.
It never lasts long enough for me. I'm just like, oh, and then it's gone. I'm like, oh, all right.
No, not at all.
I'm going to put the drip tip back in here and show everyone how I smashed this drip tip in here. And you can see that it's kind of okay to have drip tips because there is actually a little ring of plastic there that's designed to receive a drip tip. So they don't all fit, but it actually looks kind of good, to be honest, I think. Here, I'll come up and show you too. Like, relatively attractive thing. And it gives you a little bit more cooling. A little bit more flavor. Ooh. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'll try that out. I didn't even think about doing that. But yeah, I'll have to give that a try after we jump off of here.
Sneaky. Yeah, I did this right on the floor, and Harry was there. I had that orange drip tip. Remember that was in my dead rabbit. I was carrying around. Yeah, and I was just like, here, you can have this, because I just wanted to make friends with him or something. I don't know. And it was the Aspire color. Like, I had a drip tip that was the Aspire color, and here he is with his orange shirt on, orange everything, orange card, and he looked at it like, I was like, take it, dude, take it. It cost me $1 on Fast Tech. And I sent him the SKU, and it's funny because they're random colors. I was like, good luck, order 1,000. I don't know, see how much they'll charge you to give you just the orange ones.
Right.
I love this little ring that they give you that has a cap on it. What do you think about this thing?
I haven't used it, but I brought it up in the chat box. You're talking about, them saying it's not supposed to spill. I think that would be good for flying.
In fact, it does mention that specifically for flying, because the air pressure can change. This is just a good idea.
It really is.
I mean,
it doesn't look bad at all.
No,
it's just,
and Cliff Chucks, one of the VapeAM, Cliff Chucks, like 2 weeks ago was like, God damn it, are there any rubber caps or anything for atomizers? I got shavings in I'm sick of it. It's like he works construction, and I've done it too. Been down there and gone, oh, gross. And like, you're picking out aluminum shavings from your freaking drip tip or whatever. It's irritating. And he saw this yesterday. I forgot it was him, so he reminded me, and I posted it on my Instagram story. And he was like, he sent me a message right away, like, I'm buying it. Where'd you get that? Like, is that it? He was like, hell yeah.
I think it was Michaela that brought it up in chat. It's like, it's good for you. You had the one suicidal gnat that wants to fly.
Yeah. On your picnic, and you stick it in your pocket. And here's the other thing: a piece of lint can come into your. It works. It looks like it works on some mods. It doesn't on others. I'll give you an example. Sigeli, it worked. It says it worked on my iJoy. It says it works, but I was horking on it. And do you remember when I told you I got that one dry hit?
Yeah,
that was then. So I was like, wait a second. It's not working. It's fake working. So I suspect that the variable resistances fucks with it. Oh, what am I saying? This is our question list. This is on the question list. I just didn't write it down. We got to talk to them about whether it works in TC or not. To, get an answer from them.
Yeah.
So it works in temp control. Let's see if anybody else has any more shops or have any more questions. Looks like, yeah, I don't know what happened. Looks like our internet just took a hiccup. It looks fine now. Everything seems to be okay. It's green.
Yeah, you're streaming fine now. We froze for a little bit,
Yeah.
but yeah.
It looks like people don't have a lot of specific questions past how does a Revvo vape. But so far, what's your summary? What do you think about this? You've had it for 2 days, a day longer than I have.
Yeah, I've had it for 2 days. I like it. We've got our cons, which I think could be addressed in a V2 later this year or later, next year. Um, it's gonna be in my daily arsenal. I can tell you that now.
Me too.
It's just the convenience of filling, the ease of change of coils, the lack of spit back. It's just
Yeah.
it's a good all around vape.
It's
And
clever how the cam is a spitback protector too.
Yes.
Like that thing, and if you guys don't know, a cam is when you need to, if you need to tighten something down and you stick something through it and you screw something down to grab it. That's a cam. So this is a cam action on there, and it's so clever how they made that thing do everything about this has little engineering bonuses. Little gay, I love it.
And the fact, yeah, we haven't addressed the temp control, but I mean, you've used it on a mech and it worked fine.
Oh yeah, on a hybrid safe mech.
We've bowled it. We've both used it in bypass mode. We've both used it, cranked up the wattage on it, and it just continues to kick out good vapor.
Yep. Some of the
continues
mods
to work effectively.
Oh, here it is. Some of the mods don't like to screw with it in temperature control, and I put it in a couple of old mods, and it didn't like it. But is that surprising? Here is my.
No, not really. I mean, I'm not a big temp control fan anyway. I just like big warm clouds. I mean, I am. But
here is my Ultra 24 karat gold hybrid safe mech. This is the hybrid safe mech. Do you guys understand? Hybrid safe mech. Okay, I've said that enough, right? It's great. It's a great vape too. It's a little on the hot side for me, but depends on the batteries. It's great. It's a good vape.
And it looks good.
Yeah, it's not bad. The silver one might look better, and of course, depending on your mech,
like it sits pretty flush on there as far as
it is. It is 1 millimeter larger, so it is a 0.5 millimeter wider after the bottom. So really, the knurling, the ring is 24. The knurling and the glass go 25. So it overhangs. You can't. It doesn't look like it overhangs, but it feels like it, but not in an irritating way. It tapers up because it's 24, 20. It's like it's good. Pretty good. Shane Smith. Yeah, Shane Smith, we've been talking about the airflow. The airflow in this is insane. People who like the TFE 12 are going to fawn over this. People who like the Cleto 120 are going to fawn over this. If you like huge clouds, buy one of these, and you can vape at insane wattages. They're saying the stream is having trouble again, but I don't believe it. So what do you think? Have we gone over it? Have I covered everything? We're approaching our time limit here. Got any more ideas? We missed anything?
I don't think we did. I think it was pretty. I think we pretty much covered everything else, or everything about the tank, especially for a first impressions view, first impressions show on it. Here we'll come up with some more things as we put our heads together later down the road. One I just saw Michaela bring up. Yes, it does go through juice.
It's insane. This is TFE 12 level juice. This is like the avocado 20. This is like the Limitless Plus. This is a freaking juice monster. This is like this thing. This goes through juice just like this does. Oh, it's empty.
Yeah, you can almost watch it as you vape just gradually go down. It's insane.
Yep. But let me tell you, you won't care.
You've got good capillary action going.
Yeah,
so.
let me tell you, you won't care. And let me tell you guys how to recycle this. I'll tell you how to recycle all atomizers. Let me give you guys a special tip. End of the show tip.
Point.
Only people who stayed this late are going to know this. This is cool. Let me tell you. And I also want to tell you guys something else. I'm giving away this Revvo, this one. When I'm through reviewing this, I'm going to get another one. When I'm through reviewing this, I'm going to put new coils in it, throw in the ultrasonic, not in that order. And I'm going to put it in a box and mail it to you, and it's going to be yours. It's the first one they sold at that shop, and it's the first one I ever had, and it has sentimental value because I'm using it for the review. And if you don't like that, don't enter. But I'll tell you guys how to enter that. But follow all the reviews and all the news about the Revvo, and you'll find out how this goes later on. Just go to juicyjoneshq.com and follow my blog. All of these videos go there. Go to Juicy Jones HQ on YouTube and subscribe. Click on the bell icon. Okay, so we're going to vape out. Just want to remind you guys, like the video, click on that like button, click on the subscribe button if you like these videos, and if you have the inclination or the time, think about making a financial donation, click on the PayPal or the donate button, and that always goes to keeping the lights on and buying atomizers and paying for electricity. So I love all you guys. We're going to vape out on our Revvos, and everybody say, have a great Saturday and Merry Christmas. We'll be back tomorrow morning for a quick Christmas broadcast. We're vaping out. Thank you.